We're live. Oh, we're live now. Here we go. Hello, everybody. And this is why I don't do it much. How is everybody today? We've got Jerome with us again today. It's becoming a regular thing. We might have to change our name of it. And of course, we've got Jonathan here and myself.
I made it.
He made it.
Got, excellent introduction. Well done.
Thank you.
We've got
I will improve.
speaking of it, first in house. Brilliant.
First one.
I love how he always says have a nice evening as if he's popped in now he's going to go.
I know.
But I think he watches these whole things through at the time of airing.
He does.
Yeah, legend.
He's so polite. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh God, who's that?
You got the 100 points today.
Yep.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Now, I could be wrong, but I think when somebody gets 1 million composition coins or composition points, they get an all expenses flight to come train with you. Isn't that how that works?
You'll be saving up for a long time, I think. That's more lives than I'll probably do in a lifetime.
Right. That's the idea of setting this lofty goal that nobody will ever hit.
We might have to push it to 1 billion. Just in case.
Fair enough.
Oh my God.
Just in case.
Matthew's going to hear this later and he's like, what's this rambling?
He's going to be like, I'm glad I'm not part of this.
No, he's such a nice, chill guy. He's a funny guy.
He probably quite likes listening to it thinking, wow, okay.
For a lot of people, not specifically Matthew, but like a lot of people that watch these sort of things, it's nice just to hear a conversation about something and hear people interact. I was watching Bro Chat earlier, which is a bodybuilding kind of chat thing where they get different mixtures of people that are all pro bodybuilders or in the industry. And they interact with each other and they share ideas. They talk about really random things and it's just a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's semi-informative. And I quite like that. And I watched it for about 2 hours earlier and I thought, that's brilliant. That made my day.
Really is random. I think I heard like the last bit of or random part of something and I was like, what are they talking about? What is this? And he was like, it's Bro Chat. And I was like, okay. Is that what you boys talk about?
Yeah.
Rick's in the house. Hello, Rick.
Me and Jerome just get messed up with our different things and concepts, and we kind of go down rabbit holes and wish we didn't.
Is that why I'm here, to kind of make sure this doesn't happen?
Exactly. I tend to think most of me and Jonathan's conversation offline is typically one of us complaining about something and the other one just being like, yep, it's pretty much how it is. And then it just kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, so like a girly chat. Perfect.
Gotcha.
No,
Gossiping.
Gossiping around the water hole or whatever they say, whatever that saying is.
I'm wearing my most offensive T-shirt to date yet. It says, "You lift like a vegetarian."
Oh, that is excellent.
Love it.
Extra skin tight. It's shrunk in a wash.
How's it?
No questions yet, guys. We do have a preliminary question from Zbigniew, though. We can crack on with that in a second.
Sure. Kyle, I apologize. On the last live Q&A on Friday, I mentioned a couple of videos, and I just got those posted in the comments of that live Q&A today. So I had a list of the videos I wanted to reference here at work, but I was home all weekend. So I want you to know that those got on there.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, Jerome.
Usually late.
It's funny often for us, isn't it? Because, I mean, Jerome, you're about, is it 5 hours behind?
Currently 5, yeah.
Yeah, so Jerome, when he'd usually be about ready to pack at work or finish with clients or something, that's the time I'll be then finishing this up, then going to bed. So after these, I usually go to bed, get rid of the blue light. So it's not until the morning after I see or something's been missed or I've not put the right thing in or the right description or something like silly. But the main thing is I'm putting the content out there. And I've got Jerome and I've got Sophie as well, so we can all share some ideas.
You can.
The main focus is the video and everything around it is just added extras. So.
Got Jay.
Jamie, nice to see you.
Jerome, I bought a set of moving straps the other day to try the squats with. Haven't used them in a workout yet, but did do a dry run. Gonna work great. I felt the legs burning. Good.
Excellent. Yeah, those are extremely brutal, and that whole channel that video is on, it's a guy that just has an isometric exercise studio, and if you're performing a time static contraction correctly, they will very quickly tax you. I've had Declan do time static contraction grip work, where you're basically just gripping something nearly as hard as you can for a period of time, and it gets your heart rate up and it gets your breathing pretty heavy, even though it's a relatively small muscle group.
Yeah, good point about the grip as well. I mean, I've tested this before in terms of like blood pressure, and I wore a cuff in the gym once, and it worked out when I was doing a leg press and holding onto the handles like firm versus soft. My blood pressure was about 10 points higher, which kind of makes sense because you're squeezing the blood flow is going to be more and have more pressure. If you go like that for long enough, it's going to get more blood pressure. So probably not. It's difficult because you need to hold into the machine and be safe. At the same time, you don't need to be
Gripping
pushing
it.
your blood pressure to oblivion, sort of thing.
Got to find that happy medium, haven't you?
Yeah, the
hard to get your
circulatory
grip.
system it's a closed hydraulic system. So if you're raising the pressure in one area, it's going to have systemic effects. Depending on, more exercise equipment should have seatbelts on it, and that would ameliorate a lot of having to really clamp down on some handles for some movements. But you'd be surprised at the number of pieces of equipment that originally designed with seatbelts, but a lot of commercial gyms will take them off. So it'd be something to look at maybe next time you're at your gym. But a lot of, especially leg movements and a lot of back movements, probably should have a seatbelt.
Yeah, I've seen this with some gyms, and I do know what you mean, especially like the pull down movements. So you're like, if your legs or knees aren't locked in somewhere, well, it's obviously going to pull you up. If you're using 150 kilos, it will pull you up.
Yeah.
Unless you weigh over 150 kilos, which virtually no one does. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe you should just take your own.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. If you could find a way to anchor it down tightly enough, but especially like leg extensions, you don't even necessarily have to go too heavy, but when you're near a position of full extension, you can kind of lever your hips and your butt a little bit off the seat, which actually reduces the torque on the quads. So if the equipment has a seatbelt, use a seatbelt.
That's one thing with the leg extension.
Yeah.
We both know this.
I felt that my bum lifts off it.
Yeah.
So I'm having to like grip behind me to keep my bum down. Otherwise, as I go full extension, my bum's off the seat. But we've got nothing to stop us, have we?
What I was doing before with my low quality leg extension I had like a year or two ago, I think it is in the home gym setup that I sent you a picture of, and it's this really flimsy thing. It's probably meant to hold like 40 kilos, but I put probably about 80 on it. I basically put sandbags in the back of it so the bench wouldn't like swing up.
Yeah.
I have to do lying down on my back leg extensions, just so there wasn't so much, just so it wasn't so much weight on the front of the machine tipping me forward.
Yeah.
It's not how I'd usually do it because it doesn't make sense, but I was just trying to use as much weight as possible.
If anyone walked past, they'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But then I have noticed when I do like my lat pull downs, because I don't have anything to put my knees under. So maybe I might try and find like a belt that I can wrap around and strap in to keep my bottom half down. Because otherwise, I don't know, you naturally lift up. As you're pulling from something, you're naturally lifting up.
Yep.
And like the ones in the gym have the bar that goes where you tuck your knees in. Whereas I don't have that on my one.
Yeah.
So I'll have to find one.
I have a number of clients here in the studio that my pull-down machine isn't that great. It has a couple of sticking points, so most people I just have do static holds, and I have them hold the bar right about chest level. And the last maybe 10 to 15 seconds of their static hold, I will lean into this weight stack pretty heavy, and it's if their knees aren't adequately hooked under it, a lot of times I'm kind of lifting people up. Excuse me, as I'm driving down quite heavy on this, but yeah, it's a small thing, but like I said, you'd be surprised how many machines are designed to have a seatbelt and people just take them off. So.
It's on Instagram, this question. I think you sent it to Jerome, didn't you?
Yes.
I think as nobody's put any questions in the chat, we will hunt out Zbigniew's question that he asked. I think it was yesterday. I think.
Yeah, that was an excellent question.
You took a screenshot, didn't you?
I'm just trying to find it. I know what the question was, but I want to get it accurate, so I don't.
Yeah. If not, it should be in a picture, shouldn't it?
And Jonathan and I also had a little bit of a discussion on Facebook about a certain advanced leg curl method. I'm hoping you can try and explain the biomechanics of that.
Yeah, I'll do that one. I'll do that one first. It's perhaps a bit more difficult to explain. So the easiest way I can think to explain it is, imagine you're doing a leg curl. So your hips are locked in against the pad, your knees are against the pad. Basically, as you bring your ankle towards your glutes, so you're actually curling the weight up. Imagine you've then almost got a piece of string pulling your knees up. So what would usually just be a single curl, it's like a curl with a slight kind of like, what's the word?
Like a hook?
Yeah, it's like rounded.
Yep.
Now, if you've got a bad back, it won't be a good movement to do at all. But imagine it's almost the same as doing a bicep curl with a dumbbell, then trying to like bring it up a little bit. But the idea is, because you're using a leg curl machine where the weight is fixed and it's pushing against your ankle, you'll still get the resistance if it's up here. That makes sense. So rather than just doing hamstring curl like that, you'll be doing hamstring curl, then bringing. It's very subtle. We're talking about like a few millimeters, but I found that really works the hamstrings. Like top to bottom, it wrecks them. You get really tight contraction. I don't know if that's one of those proprioception things where you sort of feel like it's working because more things are moving, your glutes are more activated, or does it actually do anything more? I don't know, but I was wondering what you thought towards that.
Well, thinking about that, I mean, the function of the hamstring is knee flexion and hip extension, right? So thinking about almost like pushing your hips forward, and that's essentially what you're doing if you're elevating your knees, as you're trying to drive the hips downward. I wonder if some of the proprioception about feeling that movement a little bit more is because you're putting the the hamstrings into a position of active insufficiency, because you're kind of articulating around two joints. But I'd have to think about that some more. And it also like depends heavily on the design of the machine. It'd be much harder to do that on a prone leg curl where you're laying perfectly flat. I know a lot of them now have a slight bend to accommodate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds interesting. And I have to give it some more thought too. I'm a bigger fan of seated leg curl positions.
Yeah, I prefer those.
And I forget the exact reasoning. And I should have looked into this before today, but you see a lot of people doing prone leg curls, and as they're nearing completion, their hips will rise off the pad a lot. And I have to think about the underlying biomechanics that cause that.
Sorry, carry on. The connection went.
No, you're good. I'd have to think about the biomechanics that cause people's hips to rise a little bit on a leg curl machine, but it's a mistake of personal trainers that'll often put their hands on somebody's lower back and push that down. And I think that has to do with the hip flexors being in a state of passive insufficiency, but I'd have to look into that some more.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. I do prefer the seated leg curl because, one, it doesn't strain my back at all. Anytime you're lying in your front, you're putting your lower back at a risk.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. Same with a chest supported row. So I do my rows in such a way that my feet are actually behind me if I'm doing a row, not in front of me. So I can't generate as much power, but the pressure isn't going from my lower back, because I'm not using any hip drive to try and cheat the weight up.
Yeah.
Seated leg curl, I can hook myself in. I actually tend to like bring myself forward and like tuck myself into the machine, so I'm static, and focus on the eccentric and the stretch portion of the rep, because it's not really a tight contraction exercise. It's more of a stretch exercise, if there is such a thing.
Yeah. Do you ever then like sit backwards on an incline bench and do dumbbell rows? Because you see that sometimes.
Yeah, I think they call it like seal rows or something like that. I've done that a few times. The only issue I have was most benches and weights, either the dumbbells are so thick that they hit each other when you go to the bottom, or the bench itself is not formed in such a way that it's comfortable in your chest, or allows you to get your shoulders round it and back kind of thing. So it's a good exercise if you can find the right bench and dumbbells, I think.
I was curious about that, and I'm with you. If you have lower back issues, especially prone leg curls, you don't want to over accentuate the lordosis of the lumbar spine. So if you can do it seated, do it seated. Yeah,
that's a good shout. Should we get on with Big Nev's question now? So
yeah, sorry,
Big Nev's in the chat. He's posted it in the comments below. And I've got it on my phone now ready anyway, but I'll just read what he's put in the comments. So, question, I'm wondering, which kind of failure is the most effective? Or should I ask, should we do most sets with different kinds of failures? If doing sets of any failure is enough for muscle to grow. So it's a question of, should we do failures sets? Is it concentric, static, or eccentric failure? How do we know when to apply each one? Is there varying levels of each? How often will we do it? That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that question was originally posed to you, so I feel that it's only fair that you get first crack at it.
Okay. So Spigner is asking this question in relating to a video that I made and uploaded, I believe it was yesterday, and I remastered it this morning. Basically, I shown concentric failure, so the weight would get stuck, and it wouldn't pull down anymore. I couldn't, how to explain it? I couldn't pull down without slowing the weight cadence significantly. Then the next one was a static, so that's what kind of makes sense afterwards because your strap's quite strong in the static position. Then the last phase was the eccentric, so that's just the lowering position. So I tried to kind of demonstrate each one. Now, I'd usually use probably two of them together at once. So I'd probably use the concentric and the static, or the static and the eccentric. I think you can do all of them, but I think the chance of you using more inertia to get the weight down after a certain point, after you've done the static, the chance of that goes up a little bit. Your human nature is to make weightlifting easy. It's meant to be as efficient as possible. I think adding 3 things into a set like that can be a bit challenging. It's for an advanced person, it's probably quite doable. But the more you cut into your training recovery capacity in a given set, the harder it's going to be to recover from. It's going to really dig a big hole. Now, I think for someone like Zbigniew, he's demonstrating very good exercise technique recently. He's improved his lifts massively since I first seen him do some weight training, send me some clips. I've noticed such a huge difference. I'm probably thinking for him to just do maybe 1 set out of the 2 sets he might be doing for, say, quads or leg extension or a leg press with concentric failure. See how that goes for a week or 2. If he's like, oh yeah, I'm recovering fine, nothing's really changed, everything's all good, he might add in another one. So it might be the second set. Then it might be the first and second set with the static. So I'd go up that way. Now I wouldn't be looking at it from the point that you're going to be doing the 1 set to concentric failure, then 2 sets like week by week. It might be that you're stuck doing concentric failures for months or even longer. You know, some people really can't recover that well from these different things. I just think it's based on your own individual tolerability to training harder. I know Jerome will shortly mention about, do you really need to train to failure to get muscle growth? And that's something he'll be able to expand on very, very well. So I'll leave that door open for him to expand upon.
Sure. I tend to think for most individuals, if you can train to real concentric failure, that's probably about an ideal stimulus, and any benefit you may get from going to isometric or eccentric failure, however marginal, will probably be offset by a disproportionately large requirement into your recovery ability. So normally if you can train 3 days a week just going to concentric failure, if you're taking everything to isometric or eccentric failure, it may mandate it an additional day or 2 of recovery. So yeah, to an extent, it's something that you're going to have to experiment with and see how your own individual performance is. I have some people here in studio that I don't push them past concentric failure because I notice it kind of inhibits their growth on a workout to workout basis. I like to try and push all of my sets as hard to eccentric failure as possible. And depending on how you're defining the terms, we're stronger holding a weight isometrically than we are lifting it, and we're stronger at lowering a weight than we are lifting or holding. So the way that I generally look at it is you can't reach isometric failure without first reaching concentric failure, and then same with eccentric with respect to isometric and concentric. So as long as you're hitting failure on one of them, it's not like if you're just holding a weight to the point where you can no longer hold it and it starts going down, it's not like you could probably even lift it up at that point. But these are these are tools in your tool belt used to manipulate your workouts to try and produce results. And I think these intensifiers like training to isometric or eccentric failure have to be programmed in carefully because they absolutely can be very taxing on the body. So however he's using them now, I would recommend whatever Jonathan has him doing. If it's just concentric, if it's, only one set to, isometric or eccentric failure, kind of have to modulate these things carefully and see how your body responds.
Yeah, so it's all based on feedback. And you'll know as well, I think I mentioned of you or someone else mentioned to me before, how do you feel going into the gym? Do you want to go to the gym, or do you feel like you feel horrible, you feel weak, you feel tired, you don't feel amped up? That's a pretty good indicator that you're probably not meant to do a gym session.
Your recovery is not quite
You shouldn't
there.
anticipate the session.
Yeah. I tend to think if you're working out hard enough, there should probably be a little bit of anxiety, a little part of you that, even if you're feeling rested and recovered, you're like, man, I really don't want to push that hard today, but you're going to go in and do it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's big enough. If you have any other questions about that, just let us know. We'll be happy to expand on that if we can. We want to make sure we're clear, so you've got a good sort of base plan to work with and understand how might applies, and why I might ask you to do something one week, the next week it's like, oh no, it's much easier this week, so.
and keep the training footage. Keep the training footage coming, because that leg press video that you put up was awesome to see. And I find myself, when people put training footage in the Carnivore crew group, I find myself almost like coaching, like yelling at my phone. When someone's hitting that point when they're approaching failure and the rep cadence is slowing down quite a bit and the legs are starting to shake, like part of me just wants to yell at my phone, like more, one more rep, push. So I love seeing stuff like that. And
that's what a good coach is, isn't it?
Yeah, it motivates the hell out of me.
I found myself saying, go on.
Yep.
My crewmate was like, what are you saying? I was like, I'm just watching a video. It's okay.
It's nice to see when you have that camaraderie of people, because they're in, he's training in a gym, I believe, in Poland or Belgium sometimes, and completely hundreds of miles away from me, but I could still see what he's doing and thinking, God, I'd really sort of egg him on if he was doing this, like really, sort of say, go to town sort of thing. It's nice to have that kind of, what's the word, sportsmanship,
Yeah.
We've all got different goals, but we're all trying to work really hard and get the best results we can.
And I think sometimes when you've done that, the big lift or the big push or whatever it may be, and you've done it, you just want other people to be like, yeah. But obviously no one's there. All celebratory. And once you've done it, like I know that when I hit my PBs and I've done it and I'm like, yes. And I'm like, damn it, no one's here to help me celebrate. No one's cheering me on.
And it makes me look at my footage and think like, damn, I really need to push harder when I try and present myself as at least a partial authority. It makes me think that I really need to up my game.
Yeah, because your training video was obviously just absolutely useless. You didn't push at all, so
Yeah. I
have a lot of anxiety.
I want to be a good influence.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it starts with us and people like us, I think.
Yeah.
I had a bit of anxiety when I saw Jerome's chest fly video, and I was like, I'm going to do that at some point soon. It's quite easy to film. You can see what's going on. You can see the facial expressions. You can see the cadence quite clearly.
You can see him pushing for that last.
I was like, well, I'm going to have to try and match this as best as I can. And people often, I think we had a question about the weight I used or the reps I used or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, forget all that. These are just prerequisitory repetitions to get to the point we're trying to get. It's kind of like, what was it Bruce Lee said? Or someone said, I don't know. Some boxer said, we don't count until it starts hurting, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I sort of said, I don't know how many it was. It might have been 8 or 9 or 10, but the thing is, those last 1 or 2 reps were tricky to do.
Yeah.
That's what counts. You're thinking who it was now as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I want to say it was Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson or one of those guys, but it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember the exact quote.
He's gonna Google it
So
after this.
someone comment below in the video who
If
it
you
is.
know
Sorry,
it.
just 1 second here, guys.
No worries. Yeah, so Jerome's just had to tend to his daughter who's with today looking after, so it's completely understandable.
He shall be back.
She's probably broken the gym or something, or set fire to it.
He's probably maxed out the machine.
All of them. Right, Jamie, we'll get to your question now. I read a book recently called The Salt Fix. I think that's by James de Nicolantonio. Might be wrong. Something like that. A name I can't pronounce. It's really interesting. He recommends 3 to 5 grams of Himalayan salt per day. I'm thinking I would need less being on the carnivore diet. What are your thoughts?
I think it's all personal, isn't it? It's all kind of how are you feeling, your electrolyte levels, you know, kind of salt to taste. I don't think you need to worry about a specific number of, you know, grams of salt that you're having.
I can say when I was eating a lot of carbohydrates in the past, I had a lot of salt. Probably like 15 plus grams a day. And, if you're trying to reduce body fat, you'll find you almost hold on to less water. So you're sort of craving more salt to keep more electrolytes in because your body's just expelling everything you put in. So when you get very lean, you'll find you'll crave more salt oftentimes. Now saying that, it doesn't mean it's a static thing. You know, your body's as I always say, it's a biologically dynamic system. So your body changes and its need changes all the time. Now I'm probably... I've been very strict with the carnivore diet for perhaps 9-10 months now. Since the first month that I did it, you know, strictly. I've been doing it for now for about 3 years, 2 months total. With the exception of about 3 or 4 months off where I went off the rails.
Yeah.
I can say the longer I've been on the diet, the more fat adapted I am, the less salt I seem to require. So now I'm having butter bites, and they're probably my primary source of sodium in my diet. It's just butter, whey protein.
Yeah, it's just salted butter, isn't it?
Yeah, that's literally it. And I might sprinkle a bit, 1 or 2 cranks of salt on my meals, but it's not a lot. Sometimes it'll be more, sometimes it'll be less. I don't think there's anything magical about individual grammage amounts. We have different requirements based on our ancestral heritage. So, for example, if you're from a Scandinavian background, they'd smoke a lot of food, they'd have things prepared in such a way that meant the sodium intake of that person living in that region was higher, especially if it's fish or if it is cured meat or anything like that. So they would have adapted to almost require more salt over the hundreds of years or perhaps even thousands of years that they've been evolved to eat that kind of diet. I'm saying that other nationalities or other location or origins, people from different areas, geographical locations, would have a different requirement.
Yeah.
So I think all these numbers are nonsense.
Yeah, just go with your personal kind of taste, because I know that when I started the carnivore diet in July, I was having a lot more salt. I think now that I'm more fat adapted, I don't really salt my stuff anymore. We use salted butter.
When we first got quite strict,
much.
we were buying bags of the rubber sea salt. Now we've had the same bag for quite a while now.
Yeah.
For the same salt pot, we only had to fill that once, like recently, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't focus on the numbers. Just kind of go with your, you know, personal taste. People can get so fixated on, you know, numbers, and it's just not necessary, I don't think.
Yeah, and there's salt in a lot of food we eat as well.
Yeah.
I mean, dairy. You know, people sweat different amounts as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. All right. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Good evening, fellow face.
I like that. I mean, maybe as well. Yeah, I should have changed the. I don't know. I almost feel like changing carnivore ramblings to like carnivore rambling failures or something. Just something really.
People might think it's on the bloopers. Could you imagine if we had any bloopers? If we edited anything?
Yeah, I got rid of so many of my bloopers when I started on my channel.
Yeah.
So I'd have my webcam on top and be like looking at like, hi, welcome back to my channel.
Yeah.
FUCK, I don't know what I'm saying. Start again.
Yeah.
And I have that like 20 times over in like a given day.
Or you'd go off on a tangent and then you're like, wait, what am I even saying? Let's go back.
So I had to start writing like bullet point notes and things. But now my kind of video content is changing a little bit. I think there's enough information out there now in terms of like carnivore diet. Now I want to show people how to do it, like physically show people like this is how you build your body using a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
But there's just an absence online of this sort of thing, and it's not too different from, well, it's not really different at all from what you do on a standard diet. It's just in our space, you know, if it's always the same people talking about, oh, do this diet method, increase your fat, low protein, increase your protein, low your fat, drink less water, drink more water, how much salt should you... It's always the same kind of conversation popping up, but I think a lot of people kind of pass that now. I think I'm kind of at the bottom of the funnel, in a way, or the bottom of one of many funnels where people want to kind of amplify the results. So they're looking to use different modalities. It's not just about diet anymore. It's about grounding, getting sunlight, drinking the right water, eating intuitively, not needing to count things. Worse, exercise. So yeah, I think we can show people a lot of things which people seem to be not misunderstood about, maybe, but just aren't being shown. People aren't being shown, like, yeah, you can get most of your results with a diet, but there's everything else you can look at as well. And your diet won't always be perfect. You won't always be able to eat 100% carnivore diet.
No.
But if you can add something to that amplify the effect of the diet itself. So I think it's something I'm very much looking forward to doing more
Good.
of.
Hello,
Hey, Lambs,
Lamb.
how's it going? Question: what do you think about breathing using Buteyko method? Basics creating all the time by the nose, even during the exercises. I've looked into this before.
Oh, well, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I think you should breathe in, breathe out.
I suppose just breathe how it feels natural.
Yeah.
During the exercise. If you're focusing on the breathing, you're going to lose track of your exercise.
People do often forget to breathe or breathe very little or overthink breathing.
Yeah.
You know, all these sort of things happen. I wouldn't worry about it. I find when I breathe through the nose, I'm more relaxed. There probably is something to. There's probably some very well structured science around that. The same thing's true when I'm wearing blue blocking glasses. Like I wore them last night, and I went straight to bed after Bart K's live Q&A straight away. I was asleep. I didn't go on YouTube on my phone or anything. I just went to sleep.
No. Sleep before you
Thanks
hit
to
the
the
pillow.
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
Now the Buteyko method. I don't know. Honestly, don't know the answer to that one. I mean, if people did do it and people that you trust do it, and it's a respectable method that people such powerlifters use, go with it. Try it out.
Yeah. Just remember to breathe.
Remember to breathe in and out.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah, ironically, breathing is one of the few things I'm not thought much about.
I suppose you don't, because it's obviously a natural thing. You don't think about it. Like, I don't think about breathing while I'm working out. I'm just focusing on the exercise itself. But I can see why people are doing their big lifts and they're obviously bracing and then they forget to release it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Hall taking a deep breath before he can lift 500 kilos off the platform. That's going to help his performance. The oxygen will help sort of give him core stability and all that sort of thing. You know, having more density in your lungs and midriff, that's going to, you know, give you more, like I said, core stability.
Yeah.
It'll make you stronger. At the same time, what happens after you do that for a long period of time? You have a nosebleed.
Yeah.
So,
Pros and cons.
pros and cons. Yes, I definitely prefer to breathe.
Yeah, I think it's a wise choice. But whatever kind of method works for you. Like, I know sometimes I'm getting to the end of mine and I've got to just do the whole to get through the last couple of ones. And I just think, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, my whole thing with breathing is I do use it as a modality when I'm training to relax a bit. So if, for example, I've done a quad and hamstring based workout, I'll do my quads first because they're weaker than my hamstrings, and I'll do the quad workout as it stands, maybe 2 to 3 minutes break between. That's how much I feel I need to maximise each individual set. Then from that point, I then might have a longer break between those two body parts. So it might look like, I don't know, maybe 2 sets of leg extensions. Or I'll do some other things first, but say just a core workout, maybe 2 leg extensions, 2 leg press, 2 to 3 minutes rest between each in every individual set. Then after the leg press, I might have a 5-minute break. And people say, well, that's a long time. You're going to be resting too long. I'm like, yeah, but I need to get my mind back into the muscle. So I'm thinking about my next set. So I'm thinking, okay, well, last week I did this. And I'm more conscious of relaxing during the time. And it's not relaxing as in relaxing, having a nap on the floor sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's relaxing, getting my mind regrouped. The sets we do are very intense, so it's got to be... you got to calibrate your mind in a way. So it goes back to square one. If it's like, for example, people do circuit training. It's a good method to lose fat and get fitter. But at the same time, a bit hard to build muscle because you don't calibrate your muscles to train in an individual way because you're going from one thing to the next. When I'm talking about circuit training, I'm talking about doing 10 sets of, I don't know,
burpees and
10 burpees, 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, like all straight back to back. That's what I mean by circuit training in that kind of sense. It works for what it's intended for, but for building muscle, it's not going to be optimal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a little tangent about breathing. It's not related to the question at all, I don't think.
No, but it's rambling. So that's the whole point.
Carnivore ramblings.
Breathing. Patrick McEwen. Oxygen advantage. I think it's meant for endurance.
I recognise that. Can you tell them tired, guys? I've done a lot of Q&As this week.
Too many.
I do enjoy them.
It's catchy.
It's quite stimulating. We're quite absent of questions in the chat today.
I know, although there's 15 people watching apparently.
So what workout are you doing tomorrow, Sophie?
I am push workout tomorrow, and I think I'm going to do what I did last week, this week, of just go with what my body needs, what I feel is kind of enough. Like if I've done one set to the max and I just don't have another set in me, then I know that obviously I've trained hard enough in the first one. I know that the last one I was doing, I don't know what it was. Maybe I got distracted or wasn't in the zone properly, but I was like halfway through the the shoulder press. And I think the first set I did 8 and the second one I did 4. And I was like, no, I can do better than that. But then I did another 4. So I think I'm going to go with kind of what I feel is right at the time. And maybe try and do extras on the body parts that I want to work on that a bit more. I mean, it's the whole body, but I want, more toned arms, more toned thighs, those kind of problem areas for me. So I think I'm going to do that tomorrow and do that for this week.
Yeah, I've got a back workout. I think just a back workout.
We've got a busy week ahead, haven't we? So
might only be 3 workouts this week, maybe 4. I don't know.
We'll see what we can get in.
Yeah, so I've just got... I'll probably start with maybe a mid-back row of some kind. Then maybe a close grip pull down of some sort. Close grip pull down for me is about there. It's not there, by the way. I find that's too narrow. It doesn't feel right. I will without sort of changing movement entirely. And perhaps I'll do reverse flies for the rear delts. Probably just one set of that. Then I may, I emphasize may because I may do it, but I also might not. Lower back hyperextension.
Yeah.
I'll see how that feels. So it might just be, that's something I can kind of tease out if it's going to be appropriate for me on the day. So I'll do the rest of the workout first. I know that's going to build my back muscles. The lower back stuff is still very, very tender. But I know to sort of retain strength there, I kind of have to do something. So I might just do a hyperextension where I have my knees and my thighs and legs hooked in. And I'll do just a raise. I might just do a static hold for a few seconds. Feel that. If it feels like tremory, pain, stop doing it. End of story.
Yeah.
If it feels fine, I go down the reps slowly, then up. I might just do 5, 10, 15 reps. Just at whatever cadence feels right and feels safe to me. Probably won't do more than 1 or 2 sets than that. Not weighted, body weight.
No.
Should you see how that goes?
Yeah, just got to see see how you feel and see what your body's saying. I think everybody needs to listen to their body, whether they've got an injury or not. Obviously, if your body's telling you, no, I'm done, sometimes I just don't think it's best to push it. Do you know what I mean? It's not worth creating a potential injury, which will leave you out for a lot longer. So,
yeah, I know about that one.
Exactly.
I never injured myself during training, ever. I've dropped dumbbells on my feet, but I never actually injured my body.
From like lifting and...
No, never. I've always trained very, very safely.
I bruise myself in training because I walk into the bars. Or I'm picking up a weight and I smack it on my shins or my thighs.
Yeah.
We have a disproportionate amount of likes, apparently. Yeah, fix that, people. Fix it.
By the way.
I am finally into my first target. I am finally into the double figures. I did that this morning, which I'm very happy about. It's now just got to stay, because the whole of March I have fluctuated a lot, and I think from the 1st of March to now it's literally been a kilo, but I've fluctuated so much and it's really annoyed me. So yes, it's just got a few more days to stay down.
Then you can sort of solidify it.
And then it'll be more comfortably in.
It's like training though. The thing is, if it went back up by 200 grams and it threw you out of the range sort of thing, it's not... Would you realistically gain 200 grams of fat in that time?
No, and obviously now that I've
Unless
understood...
you literally ate, like, you just sat there eating butter or anything.
Yeah, which I just couldn't do.
No.
But no, now that I've understood the scales and how to read them, when they do jump up, my first thought is obviously, fuck's sake. I think that's everybody's first thought. Especially when you're so close to your first goal, or you're so close to like the next bracket down, and yeah, it jumps. But then I was like, actually, let me have a look. And then that's when I noticed what went up, which is why the scales went up. So I think, what was it? My bone mass, my muscle mass, and my fat-free mass, they all went up 0.1, which was what the 0.3 gain was. And I was like, I see now. I get the jump.
Yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's definitely... That's really helped my mindset, because otherwise the scales can really take over your mind, can't they? And get to you quite a lot.
It's very strange now. Like, I feel quite heavy now. Like, not... I don't feel overweight, like... I mean, I'm not saying I'm fit and healthy sort of thing in that sort of sense, but I feel slightly unfit. Before, I was about 16 kilos heavier. I don't know how I walked. I feel like my body now, I think, imagine an extra, like...
yeah, imagine holding...
10% of my body. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Like I can imagine holding a weight now, like in front of me. That's a lot of weight to carry in your back, sort of thing, you know? Jeez.
It does make me wonder how I did it. When I was, like, 51 kilos heavier. I'm like, how did I do it? And with ease, like, I didn't struggle. Like, when you look at me at the beginning of 2020, like, when I started my weight loss, and the size of me, you would have thought I would have struggled to walk, but I was still quite, like, active. And I'm like, how did I do it?
I think there's a massive drop-off, like, an area on the curve where your weight exceeds it kind of exceeds your own inbuilt abilities to actually do the tasks you have each day. So if you have children, you're running after them, bending down, picking up things, fetching shoes off the floor, carrying loads of shopping, whatever it is. If you have to perform at that weight, you will perform. You'll gain enough fitness to do that. Your body will adapt. But I think people become to kind of gain body fat to the point where they can't move anymore. They're stuck in bed, you know. Yeah. They can't move. They therefore have no task to fulfill because they're having their care fulfilled by someone else. That's when fitness drops off the cliff.
Thank you very much, Zbigniew. Yes.
Very good. Excellent.
The right things are increasing and the right things are decreasing. So, and even if I think a couple of the numbers, what I thought was like the muscle mass decreasing, you're like, yeah, but are you getting stronger in the gym? And I'm like, yeah, my lifts are increasing. He's like, there you go then. I think sometimes the scale gets a bit confused. You were saying that you have like fat between your muscles, and the scale obviously gets a bit confused as to what's what.
You have intramuscular fat. So imagine you cut a steak. Well, get a joint of beef and cut it in half. There'll be fat marbling within it. That will still be comprised in a measurement as body fat. It won't necessarily, you won't really see it on your body because it's marbled within your muscle tissue itself. How much there is, I don't know, but I imagine there's a lot on very large people. So you're probably just losing the remnants of that.
Yeah.
Preloading oxygen. My oxygen level tends to run quite low, like 96%, which is a bit annoying. It's been as low as like 94 or 93 before, actually, in hospital. I've always wondered if this contributes to my chronic fatigue. If I just don't breathe much or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, preloading, I don't know, I think your body will auto-regulate itself anyway, but what do you reckon? Preloading oxygen? Doing Wim Hof method? Okay.
I feel like it's just a little bit much for a simple breath. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Such an English response. It's a bit of effort.
it's a bit of effort.
Yeah.
I don't see how it would help, but that's just me. I mean, I don't know obviously the science behind it, but I feel like if you're gonna have to breathe in and then out, I feel like it's just gonna get a bit confusing, and you'll just forget to go out. Yeah.
People always talk about breathing exercise. It makes it funny. Like they'd say, like, "Oh, you need to do some breathing exercises." I'm like, well, there's only two.
In and out. Have you done that?
Well, there's in and out, but then there's the hold. Then there's the one that I mentioned, which is repetitive intakes.
Yeah.
Then
And
slow
then and
exhale.
out.
That they are the two breathing exercises that people actually use. So I don't know why they say exercises in plural, as in like there's loads of them. There's like 50 ways of breathing.
Well, there's like breathe in and out through your nose and in and out through your mouth. And
I missed
maybe
that.
that's what they think.
I
I know I got
know.
told that pregnant. In through your nose, out through your mouth.
I do understand the point itself. Like, yeah, if you can maximise your oxygen uptake, you're going to perform better. Gives you more ability to deal with metabolic waste and produce energy. So it makes more sense. It's just being cognizant of doing it when you're actually training or exercising. That's the thing that people have to try and break the bad habits on, mate. What do you think about mouthpieces like UH Performance and others? Do you think they're beneficial? Yes, I think they're beneficial in extreme power sports. For example, I'll probably think of... for very specific lifts, for example, a static lift in the sense that you're doing a bench press, a squat, a deadlift, something where you're still. So it wouldn't work well for sprinting because it would prevent your breathing capacity and potential. I think for weightlifting it is useful. The reason being is when you clench down on your jaw, you have free muscles around your neck which aid and improve your stability. We know that if we're biting something or gritting our teeth, our strength and internal pressure is higher. So therefore we're able to perform a heavier lift. That might also translate to strength, which may translate into building muscle. I think they're beneficial, yes. Are they necessary? No. Do I know people that use them? Some, not many. The hardest part about it is that you're walking around with your mouth when you're training, which is a bit weird. But that's the long story short of it. So if you watched a video, it's like a 2-hour interview about how great it was, that would be the cliff notes. Summarised. Yeah. I think it's useful, and if you find it's got some practical use for what you're trying to achieve, then definitely go ahead and do it. What do you think?
I've not heard about it at all.
It's basically a bit like a gum shield.
Oh, what? To help with your breathing?
People say it's not, but it is like just like a gum shield.
Oh, I mean...
No, it's to help. So the idea is you clench down your jaw.
Oh,
so you're
okay.
lifting like additional power because it forces pressure through your jaw, which forces pressure through your neck.
I suppose it does then save your teeth. Because I know if you clench your teeth, you'll end up like rubbing them, like grinding them. But again, if you feel like you need to do it, do it. But if you've managed without, then why add something else into it?
Yeah. Excellent. Try to get up the stairs the weight that you lost to backpack. You'll struggle, Sophie. Yeah.
Yeah. We bought 40 kilos of plates, didn't we, the other month? It was supposed to be 50, but they didn't give us the other one. And just carrying that from the shop to the car and that's a straight line. Like there was no like hills or steps or anything. It was a get that boot open now. I need to put them in. So yeah, I probably will.
I think there's also a cut-off in your bone density, as in, say a person starts at 50 kilos of body weight. The bone density would be, say the skeleton weighed, guess, just random, say 3 kilos. Mm-hmm. They'd build more bone density, therefore the skeleton would weigh more if they weighed 100 kilos. Mm. Now, it wouldn't necessarily double to 6 kilos. It might be 3.3, 3.4 kilos to withstand the extra weight bearing load that you have on your body. Mm. I think after a certain point where someone is over fat, as in they got from 50 to 100, then maybe to 150 kilos, then I think bone mineral density goes down because you have nutrient deficiencies, you don't absorb things as well, you've got more fat tissue in your body, which causes issues downstream. So that's kind of what I think towards bone density. It's not even related to the question, and it's not even a question. Next.
I mean, I used to struggle to run up the stairs when I was heavier, and now I can run up and down them and I'm not as exhausted. I mean, I then run up and I'm like, that's my cardio done for the day. Fantastic. That's all I need to do.
Question. Example exercise running from, I'm guessing it means Arthur Jones, with 2 sets of each letter, full body split. Do you recommend going from... Am I being stupid here?
Do you mean A to B, or is AJ a person? Oh, I think he might mean A to B because he's done A times 2 and then B
A,
times 2.
B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, maybe. Yeah.
Hi, sorry about that.
Hello.
That's right, we need your help, Jerome. What does he mean by A to J? I know what he means, but I'm not sure which one of the things he could mean. Either Arthur Jones or in terms of like...
A to B.
A to Z exercise.
Oh, A to J, workout. He's just said.
A to J.
Right, okay.
Oh, okay. So if you have, I assume it's if you have a training routine with 10 different moves, right? J is the 10th letter of the alphabet. Do you do exercise A, wait a couple minutes, do exercise A again, or do you go from A to J and then go back around?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I see now. I see why he's asked this, because he asked Bart K the same thing. I think he wants to know if we've got a different opinion on it. So basic question is, do we do the same exercise? So do we do a circuit, basically, a giant set? Mm-hmm. Or are we doing chest press 2 sets, row 2 sets, leg press 2 sets, whatever? Gotcha. I've got 2 thoughts about this. So I think, assuming you can maximize your first and second set with a sufficient rest period between them, it's good. As in, first set 8 reps, 100 kilos. Second set 8 reps, 100 kilos. Mm-hmm. That would give you an idea. Okay, next time I can go up to 8 reps with 102.5 kilos or something, so you can get stronger. So you know, next time you're going to hit the first set of that weight. You might not get the second set, but who knows? I'm probably going to say, now if you're doing it 1 set of that, then 1 set of another thing, then going around in a circuit like a giant set, I'd probably say that you might have issues in the gym if you're going from one exercise to the next with short rest periods. Mm-hmm. I think the rest period you should have is enough to be able to control your breathing, be able to focus on your next set. So you're not, for example, if like sweat's running down your face and you can't concentrate on your set, we'll just spend an extra 5 seconds getting sweat off your forehead so you can concentrate or look at what you're doing, whatever it is in the mirror or whatever it happens to be. Make sure your heart rate's at a sensible level that you can perform the next set to your maximum capacity. Then move on to the next one. I think I mentioned earlier, I rest like 2 to 3 minutes between sets, but I'm not very fit at the moment. I quite like doing that. I find training very therapeutic. I like to zone in on the next set. I feel like I'd be a bit scatty if I did like 1 minute breaks between sets, but then there'll be people out there that can just do repeated bout effect and get just find benefit without any detriment. What do you think, Drew?
I would say it probably depends on your goal. If you're trying to maximize hypertrophy or strength overall, I would rest 2 or 3 minutes between sets and do exercise A, rest 2 or 3 minutes, do exercise A again, 2 or 3 minutes, and then move on to your next exercise. Mm-hmm. If you're mostly focused with overall health, good degree of strength and hypertrophy, I like to go with as little rest between sets for the whole circuit. And then if you're going to do a second or a third set, then go back and repeat the circuit. But you're right in the sense that it can be extremely taxing, on your cardiovascular system. So instead of having the mindset of going as fast as possible from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next, I usually tell people go as quickly as you can to where you feel that you can safely exert another maximal effort. So if you're 3 or 4 or 5 exercises deep, your heart rate could be screaming, your rate, you could be dripping sweat. You might need to take 30 or 60 seconds before you do that next exercise, and that's fine. I would let people do that. But in general, I'm a fan of trying to push people from one exercise to the next relatively quickly. And as you continue to do it, your cardiovascular conditioning will improve and you'll be able to go a little bit faster from set to set. But if you're just trying to build the biggest muscles you can, I would take your time between sets and really try and keep your focus. And if you start off your workout with 2 sets of shoulder press, do that first set and then sit and focus and collect yourself. And then after probably at least 2 or 3 minutes, do that second set and then move on to the next exercise.
I think there's something to be said for the metabolic fatigue build-up that people talk about. Like when your muscles burning, you think, oh, that's sore. Like that lactic acid kind of build-up. I think that's useful if you're doing sets that aren't too or very close to failure. So if you can do 10 reps, you're doing 6. Yeah, you're going to need to get more volume in or more sets in to get the same metabolic build-up. But if your one set of 10 is 210 and you can only do 10, your metabolic build-up will be much higher. So therefore, you won't need as many sets. You won't need to always do this back-to-back pump sort of sets to get the same sort of workout effect. Obviously, like building a pump in that sense doesn't rebuild muscle, but it's a contributing factor which can do other things, like side process, I think. Like most of my training's been 15 to 20 rep work. Like I think most amount of my muscle with 15 to 20 rep work, just because my 15 to 20 reps were hard reps. But then getting someone else to do that is hard unless you tell them to do like 5, 6, 7 reps or something. So
yeah, I think it depends on what your gym setup is. Like you said, if you're doing like a giant set of going A to J, if you've got everything set up ready and you can do that with very little rest in between, happy days. But a lot of people are training in a big gym with other people around and they can't do that. So I think if you can only really do A times 2, then B times 2, then kind of just do what works for you, I think.
And depending on how you do it, that will affect your performance. So you need to note that in your workout journal. Because if you do a circuit once and then go back later, that's going to be very different on your workout performance than if you do 2 sets, then the next exercise 2 sets.
Yeah.
Be as meticulous in tracking your workouts as you can.
I think that's important. Yeah, so just try both ways, Kyle.
Yeah, see what works better.
Track it. So say if you are timing it, say I've got a stopwatch here, I'm going to do a minute. That kind of brings back problems in itself because it means you're not auto-regulating, you're not being intuitive, you're not listening to your body. At the same time, it might also allow you to refine things a bit more. So you can say, we've done a minute rest this week and I've got drastically weaker this week from this session to the last. So I've not recovered enough. All right, well, I need to change something. So it might help you work through a process of denomination to work out this did or didn't work and gives you something to work with. Excellent. Fantastic. Hey, Hunt, how's it going? Harry talks a lot about citrulline as a vasodilator a lot. I take a niacin. How potent is B3 as a vasodilator or not? Well, citrulline feeds into the nitric oxide pathway. Does it work? Yeah. Do I use it? Yeah. How much do I recommend to use? Ideally, none. Unless you think that you're going to use it anyway because you're a bodybuilder and you want to get a sick pump. I'll say 5 to 10 grams. That's about 5 to 10 grams for most people. I recommend the plain form, which is just L-citrulline, not with malic acid, because that just means you have to take more of it, basically. Not as cost effective. I've heard Viagra is quite effective.
Yeah, I may have been gifted some Cialis that I've taken a few times, and yeah, that certainly does at least give a bigger pump in the work in the gym. But in terms of actually improving your performance numbers in the gym, I can't speak to its efficacy. And I wouldn't recommend anybody take anything that they're not prescribed by their doctor. It was just my own stupid experience.
Yeah.
We're live, so I won't say anything to that.
Well,
That'll be for when we've stopped.
I mean, I don't recommend any sort of performance enhancing drugs, but I do want to be transparent that I've tried Cialis before. So
Yeah. We'll talk about the B3 thing as well now. So I use a supplement recently called, I think it's nicotinic acid, so it's the one that does cause flushing. That's the better one, I think. So that's the one they used to put in pre-workouts like 10, 15 years ago at a respectable dose. And I took 2 doses the other morning and went bright red.
Yeah.
So I have my morning tablet. So I'm trying to go for a little protocol moment to try and sort my health out a little bit. Probably not necessary, but if it can excite my results, I'm going to do it. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing I had. Then my breakfast, which was like an hour later, I had another tablet.
Yeah.
Went bright red, purple, skin went all funny.
Blotchy. I didn't even know that you took it, and I turned around and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with your face?
yeah,
What is wrong with your arms?"
Yeah, it was. I think the dose people recommend is like 300 milligrams spread over the day, so you don't take it all at once.
Not an hour later.
I did 200 milligrams within like an hour or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did work, and I did have a lot of vascularity that day in the gym. I had like veins all over the shop in the gym, and everyone's like looking at me. I was like, I'm gonna keep my t-shirt on.
I used to do the same with beta alanine. I liked the paresthesia, how it made your skin like tingly.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would take beta alanine just because I thought it was funny, even though I'd already worked out for the day. But I know I'm a little touched in the head sometimes.
I've done that a few times. I bought big pouches of it before and used that just willy-nilly.
Yep.
I don't know why. They use that sort of thing for chronic fatigue, believe it or not.
These boys are not
Interesting.
recommending anything, folks.
No.
Okay?
No, thank you, Sophie. Thank
Just
you for
being
being
stupid.
Thank you for being the voice of reason here. I'll admit we're guys. We're stupid all the time.
Yeah. You test
Gotta
things
be
that you
honest, always
probably
like this.
shouldn't.
Yeah, it's like, what extra 1% can I get? And if it's not 1% extra I'm getting, what kind of fun experience will I have as a result of taking it?
Yeah.
It's not recommended.
Don't take... these are supplements, by the way, guys. They're not... what we just mentioned aren't particularly drugs, but, you know. Yeah.
I don't know if that made a difference to you.
Hunters are female, yeah. It won't make a difference to our answer, no.
That's fine. I think because you said the word Viagra, and obviously women don't take that.
They do.
Oh.
They
do
could,
they?
yeah.
Some do.
Oh.
And it would work,
Oh, all right.
apparently.
You're welcome, Carl.
Yeah, we're not used to all this the letters kind of thing. Like, I know people, it seems to be more common in the States, they'll use like A1, A2, B1, B2, all that sort of thing to talk about their exercises. We don't really do that over here. So I had to I kind of understood what he meant. So I wasn't sure if he meant Arthur Jones or as in exercise A, exercise B, exercise C. So I was like,
Yeah.
a bit lost there. But,
I thought you just mistyped B.
I'm glad he clarified anyway, so we didn't get it completely
Wrong.
I've never notated my workouts that way, so I think I just got lucky with a guess and just happened to be right.
Yeah, my workouts are near enough the same each time. I just change things sometimes, or an angle, or I'll swap the board around slightly. The same sort of movements near enough, if I can.
Yeah. I tend to just swap round incline chest press and shoulder press, because I find that once I've done incline chest press, if I then go straight into shoulder press, sometimes my shoulder press just isn't as strong as it can be if I was to do it first. So I tend to like swap it round a bit sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but apparently somebody's turning your knobs there, Jerome. Keeping
Jerome,
them
can you
quiet.
say something?
Can you hear me now? So, Lambs, I moved this a little bit closer when it hops back on, hoping that would someone help the issue out.
All I did was I turned echo cancellation on for our end.
Okay.
We'll see post-production when I've recorded this what happens to it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
now
and
no longer a buzzing sound. So
And I
didn't even
apologize for
notice there
stepping
was.
away. I had somebody walk in, so I gave him a quick tour of the place, told a little bit about what I do, and I muted the mic on my end, and then cut the video. So I was hoping it didn't interfere with any of the settings.
Oh no,
No, I didn't
not at all. No,
notice. No.
no, it's like this before. So it sounded a bit. I could hear your breathing a lot heavier and your background noise.
Yeah, that's probably my
Okay.
gain that
A bit
I turned
earlier.
up a little bit.
Yeah, I did. We basically with Lamb, so we're trying to figure out the right audio settings so we know when we do this in the future what sounds best. And obviously, what we're doing is like if I tweak knobs on my end, and he does it on his end as well, that'll then completely
Double the
interfere with
knobs. Double the knobs have
it.
gone.
And I'm recording these externally as well, so I can work out what
What it
issues
is.
come up. Whenever you basically process any audio through the internet, as Lambs rightly knows, the internet messes with most things, softwares,
Yep.
computers, technology doesn't often work very well. It changes everything. So in my recording later, the sound will be immaculate, as if we're in the same room. What you guys hear on YouTube will be slightly different to that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We're
So
kind of
it's-
doing it, but it's
It's not
one
his
of those things.
quality. It's
It's not Jerome's
whatever
lack
the
of,
processing thingy's called.
comprehension of how to use a microphone. The same thing happened on Bart K's live. So I think I recorded it on my end for a bit of it, and the audio was perfect.
Yep.
When you hear me on Bart K's live, if there's a setting turned on, he doesn't know about it. You know, it's very hard to micromanage all the audio settings of all the things and elements in the video.
Yeah.
Then you got the software itself that we used to record, which is Zoom. That has its own knobs and settings which change things as well. So unless you start from scratch and add the one thing, take one thing every single time, or you know exactly what you're doing, it's very hard to get right. So that's why
Yeah.
we're trying things out. But the main thing is we can hear each other and we can know where
There's
things
no
go wrong.
echoing.
Yeah.
Jerome's not hearing himself again as he's talking.
Yeah, we had a couple times where there was about a 5-second delay. And it's Jonathan's right. Like when I record videos, I have, I think, 4 different filters on my mic through OBS. But in calling in a StreamYard, I think I can't use any of those. And it's more on Jonathan's end. But I'm not blaming you at all when I say that. I think the tools that are built into StreamYard aren't the same as the number of things that you and I could use if we were to record our own stuff independently.
That's right, yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm recording it as it comes through StreamYard, but not with the modifications. So I can share this actual link with Jerome later, and it'll sound near enough perfect. We noticed this earlier when I think I shared it with you already, haven't I? The mastered mix of our Friday Q&A.
Yep.
That was like perfect, wasn't it?
And then I suppose in the short-term lambs, I could probably just talk a little bit louder. That might offset it a little bit.
He's too quiet. He needs to get louder.
It's different with the sound reflects of things as well. So we've got a
Yeah.
wall behind us. We've got soft cushioning on the bed sort of thing. It's not... whereas Jerome's talking from a studio, he's taking time out of his day to record from his studio, so it's he's not going to be in a perfect... What's it called?
Like
what do you call it?
soundproofed
A purpose-built
room
room to
Yeah.
record these things. We do the best we can with the time zones we're placed in, so... Brilliant. That's the Bonut and Juicy Drug.
Yep. It probably would have been a lot more fun if I had somebody else to use that with. But it's just me.
It's not as fun on your own, is it?
No,
No.
I think I'll leave that one at that.
I prefer it when there's no one in the room.
Do you? Yeah. Should I leave the room next time?
In the dark.
All right. I'll leave the room next time.
I've just lost 1,000 subscribers. That's better already. A slight tab more to a level. Yeah, completely.
Awesome.
Yeah. I can't do much more on this end. No,
No, that's all right. It's already better. So,
it's better. Yeah, there's nothing more I can really do.
can you hear him? Yeah. Perfect.
I'll talk louder. It seems to be the best solution.
Speak up. Hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. We've already spoken about the importance of breathing.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed out on that one. That's a good one.
Yes. We said to breathe.
You can see how loud our volumes are because when we're talking, my volume it just hits about in the top end of the green bracket thing. And Sophie's like normal voice is like the top end of the green bracket.
I just have a very loud voice. I think it's being involved with kids. You have to shout.
You guys probably won't know this. When people podcasting, if someone wants to sound more imposing, they'll actually do voice changer things on their own microphone. to make themselves sounds better. And most people actually do this, like most pro level podcast. People like millions of viewers or sort of thing. And I was quite surprised by that. But then you think, well, if your monetization, your way of earning money is through your voice, and you probably you might do that. I can see why people would.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
I think we've got one last question. Got it in just in time, Zbigniew.
I know that may be outside your expertise. I noticed some fuss online about high level of uric acid on the carnivore diet. Your thoughts? Uric acid is a potent antioxidant, despite what people may say. Probably actually more potent than vitamin C, maybe.
Oh.
Or so I've heard. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this.
Through the grapevine.
A bit out of my expertise, yeah. Your body will just excrete these things naturally anyway. If it was problematic, then we'll be having people run to the hills saying, I've got high uric acid, I've got gout, but we know that people are curing gout from the carnivore diet. That seems to be, pretty cause and effect. People say, uric acid levels high with gout sort of thing. So, I don't know. What do you think, Jerome?
It's just my speculation. I think if your kidneys are healthy and have a relatively low degree of inflammation, they should be able to do a sufficient job of eliminating uric acid. I think there's a couple different pathways by which uric acid can be created. One is deamination of protein in the liver that's converted to urea and then eliminated. But I think fructose is also metabolized into uric acid. So my suspicion, and I have nothing to validate this, with people that have high uric acid on carnivore is I imagine from, a prolonged period of time of eating a more conventional diet, they probably have slightly compromised kidney function, which is reducing the body's ability to eliminate uric acid. And I would suspect that these things would improve over time, but that's just my wild guess.
Good job. Get your kidney health sorted out, which is going to be better with the carnivore diet anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, until a problem arises with this thing, I wouldn't worry about it, concern yourself. I see a lot of people in that do the carnivore diet almost psychosomatically make themselves ill because they hear about some random thing online that someone apparently once had without a proper diagnosis. And all of a sudden everyone starts talking about it.
Everyone starts panicking.
Yeah.
I get that a lot, actually.
I've heard a couple of plant-based diet proponents advocating that ketogenic diets land people in hospitals, and ketosis by default is an extremely unhealthy metabolic state. And that's a fun one to think about too, because my suspicion is people are probably just dehydrated if they land up in a hospital because of ketosis, barring, type 2 diabetes and becoming having diabetic ketoacidosis. Sorry. But that one's always been a little crazy to me to hear.
It's low insulin, isn't it? That's why they're having issues regulating blood pressure.
Yeah, insulin basically not shunts, but it helps mitigate and block ketogenesis, I think.
Never know.
It's counter inhibitor of glucagon. So yeah, so if your insulin levels go up, by default you'd be pushed out of ketogenesis because insulin deals with glucose predominantly. So that being your ketones would go up when your insulin's too low. So the way you get out of potentially high ketoacidosis is to either eat sugar or eat a lot of protein in one hit, or eat dairy, which does it really well, apparently, according to diabetic people I know on the carnivore diet. Food for thought.
Well, yeah.
Food. Not uncommon. I had a girlfriend give me Viagra and I hoped something would grow. When it didn't, she realised she was not my type. Well. Rick, you don't have a type. You're is it asexual or something?
Well, he's bringing in.
I think he actually is.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
He's bringing in that big iguana money, so I'm sure he'll be able to find somebody, no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got all the iguanas.
That's what us women are here for. I'm just here for the money. So, yeah. So, Zbigniew, check out Amber O'Hearn. She has the videos on that topic.
Maybe she'll talk to me soon if she replies to me.
Probably not.
7 months later.
Well, if it takes 7 months, I don't think we should have her on. We're obviously not that important that she can't reply straight away.
I'm not a middle-aged female, so I've got no chance.
No, I'm not middle-aged either, but I am a female.
Maybe I have to use you as the hook.
I'm just biting my tongue because I'm a lot closer to middle age than you guys are.
I always forget, like, you're older than my brother, and it's kind of weird.
Maybe we should stick Jerome in a
little
wig
bit, not that much older.
and get him to pretend.
Yeah, I'll send her a message and see. I have to start marketing all my videos soon for people that are over 40.
Talking really slowly with a very... Maybe, like, put some grey dye in your beard or something. Age yourself a little bit.
No, the gray's doing a good enough job coming in on its own. I don't want to rush that.
I had to have a little trim recently just to get it back to
Tidy up.
Tidy up level. Yeah, it gets a bit ridiculous sometimes. Yeah, certain 19-year-olds diagnose themselves with scurvy.
I wonder who we could be talking about.
Yeah, I heard about some infection recently to do with the teeth or gums. I think it's like gingivitis. I don't know what that is.
I think people mistake that for scurvy.
Do they?
I think so.
I can't see how.
Little birdie told me.
Some individual hypothetically has started a secondary YouTube channel just for conspiracy theories. And that's a little disheartening. But I've pretty much stopped watching all of that person's content.
Good plan.
I was asked today by probably one of the most famous... Someone that appeared on the reverse TV series for the Carnivore diet asked me if she should... I'll give away... Oh, it's a she. If she should air a video she did with the gentleman, the 19-year-old person.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, just do it. Show you've got an open mind and see what happens. Worst case scenario, you get like 10% of people saying, you're an idiot. I don't like your videos. In discussion, that'll be it.
I have mixed feelings about things like that because I understand not wanting to give credence to particular not individuals, but just ideas. I think it depends on the nature of the discussion because certainly if you or I were, the three of us would talk with this person, there'd be a number of things that we would disagree on. And I think as long as the conversation was productive, that would be worth putting out. But if this person is getting a bigger platform, largely unquestioned, and is going to promulgate some of his particular notions as fact with nothing to substantiate it, I wouldn't support that at all.
No.
Yeah. I think I quite like some of the directions his topics are going. So people always slate Sverige, or he goes by Gotis or something online. And whilst, how do I put it? He's very polarizing and he can annoy a lot of people by things he says. But he does bring up some topics which I'm like, that was bang on. Like, he's one of the few people talking about this sort of thing. And I think Joey's starting to go that way as well. But in that sense, he'll have a different audience which may be smaller just because that particular niche that those sort of people tend to cover. We have to almost self-censor ourselves to appeal to a larger mass. I could say all sorts of things about different things going on around the world.
Yeah.
But it means that my own personal message wouldn't be delivered as far and wide. So I'd actually be doing myself and other people a disservice by doing that. So it depends how you look at it.
That's true. I get a little bit heated when certain people say that you have to buy local organic beef because there's a lot of people that come to this diet that can't afford that, but could really benefit from just whatever they can afford at their local supermarket. So when I hear someone preaching with a certain degree of righteous indignation that, people are brainwashed for believing one thing over another and you have to buy the highest quality food possible, there's a lot of people that could be getting help with this lifestyle of eating that suddenly feel dissuaded and will probably never approach it because of that sort of sense of entitlement.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he posted something recently, this person, by the sounds of it, they blew 25 grand on Bitcoin. I'm like, I've never had that much money in my life, and I've worked at least 2 jobs for my entire adult life. What could I do with that money that would help more people?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be blowing it on people say, it's subjective. People choose what they spend their own money on. I'd have invested that into myself in terms of building my own brand and helping more people. I wouldn't be putting it in some sort of digital currency. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably a slight bit of jealousy there, as Jerome knows how I am sometimes.
Yeah.
I think we should come off that topic before everybody gets quite angry about it.
2 more things. I don't like it when people say that autistic people shouldn't be proud to have the diagnosis that they are autistic. The second thing is that I don't like when people disrespect girlfriends of bodybuilders.
I'm
Just
perfectly
saying.
aware of what you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah.
It's all going downhill now. We're getting a bit off carnivore ramblings, but that's the name
We're
of the
just
game.
rambling.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's the literal definition of carnivore ramblings.
Asexual is the word, not for money. I've not gotten a penny for any of this. Oh, fair enough. I like anyone that has a diverse opinion. Not just because they do it for the sake of having a diverse opinion, but because their mind works differently to mine. That makes us very unique, and I enjoy hearing of people's experiences because it means we're not all locked in the same. This is just a subjective reality, isn't it? We're supposedly locked into the same thing, but our experiences within that thing are so different.
Yeah.
I think I've grown a lot as a person as a result of meeting people like Rick, strangers like Jerome, and even Sophie.
Even me.
Even you.
I think, we all experience different things. And I think we all then have our own interpretation and views on things. And obviously, hearing other people's, because me and Jonathan can be in the exact same situation, but we could both view it very differently. Like, one could view it negatively, one could view it positively. And I think because we're all different and we all think differently, I mean, some people just don't think at all. But I think because of that, all our minds are kind of wired slightly different, which is probably quite a good thing.
And Bart and I, we're both autistic people. Yeah, people will think, oh, we'll come to the same sort of weird rabbit hole. But if you watch any of our live Q&A videos, there's always 1 or 2 points in each one where we understand the same concept, but we've come to different definitions of it, or we've broken down the question in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
In a completely different way to any way anyone else would. Like, he's asking about strength, and I was like, someone asked a question about strength, and I was like, yeah, you can be strong at 100 reps and strong at 1 rep. Depends what you're trying to do with that given strength. But his answer was on the baseline of optimal for strength athletes that are doing a specific task. Then we might say the polar opposite thing, but come to the same conclusion anyway.
Yeah.
It's quite bizarre.
I think everyone's journeys are different as long as the destination is there. It's what's to say, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. Something like that.
Yeah, thank you as a beginner for turning up, and hopefully our answer helped your issue.
I deeply respect the partner of this bodybuilder if it helps. It does, Lambs. Thank you very much.
Very good.
So you should. A very respectful person.
Yeah, you don't want to see Sophie's bad side.
No.
No.
If I have to tie my hair up and get some flip-flops on, we've got a problem.
Sophie was up this morning since around 6 o'clock, roughly. She came back today at about
6
about
p.m.
6 p.m. She came back and walked in the house with a smile on her face. How many people do that? When they're coming back to me,
Well, no.
somewhat disabled,
What do you mean somewhat? Mostly disabled.
mostly disabled. 2 little girls, one can barely feed herself,
I know.
and she can't change her own nappy.
Absolutely useless.
How many people go home and smile to that?
Well, because that's what I'm going home to. And then I knew an hour later we was on a carnival rambling with one and only Jerome.
Jerome Armstrong.
Jerome Armstrong.
That's
Who
not
unfortunately had to disappear off.
Yeah, sorry to piss off for a few minutes, but
How dare you? What do you mean a few minutes? It's about half an hour, love. Honestly.
Well, you know, you guys only see a very small part of my business. You haven't seen me in full sales mode or when I'm out networking and rubbing elbows and sweet talking old ladies to try and get new clients.
Do you put some cologne on between each client and wash your hands and make
Give it a
yourself look all official? Go.
No, I absolutely despise the networking and marketing part of those events, but I understand the utility. And I've complained to Jonathan tons of times about how I feel like I'm whoring myself out. But I understand it's
You've got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
I have to sweet talk some old ladies and old men to get on my ambulance or get off it, for that case. You got to do it.
Yeah. Although I imagine you probably can be a bit more assertive and probably don't have to sweet talk as much when it's a little bit more medical or emergency related.
Oh, it's not emergency. I just put them in a wheelchair and get them off my bus.
I was going to say, you could probably just make up anything and get them.
I do. I do. Sometimes I don't get a choice. They're like, I don't want to go here. Well, this is what we've got down on paperwork, so see you later.
Yeah.
I can't work in a caring kind of hospitality setting anymore. Not because I'm not caring, but because it wears me down too much and I care too much.
It can be mentally draining when you see how people are and how they're living or where we have to drop them to. And obviously, because they don't have mental capacity, unfortunately, they then don't have a choice. They have to go there. It's not up to us to make the decision. We're just doing kind of what we're told. And we have like an argument with the patient of, I don't want to go. Well, you have to go. I don't want to go. They're going to do something. No, that's just your mind playing tricks on you with your dementia. And it's like, can be a bit mentally draining, and then some of them are heavy as anything, so it's quite physically draining as well.
Yeah, it gives me memories sometimes of my late granddad when he was unwell. When people have issues with their memory and they're not quite sure what's going on. Sometimes I think of that, and I think of that quite a lot more recently. But these sort of things come and go, and I've seen, Sophie and I have seen a lot of sick people over the years. Loads, and more than a lifetime amounts worth of sick people. And I think what you can do is kind of accept a lot of these cases. Not always, but a lot of them you can't help them in some ways. But you can work on the people that are with it, are willing to learn and develop their own knowledge. So that's something I can actively do without as much detriment to my mental health. So
I think I always say you can't help everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes some people just don't want to be helped. Like obviously Jonathan gets not irate, but he gets so fixated on he wants to put out the perfect video but this is, correct information. And I'm like, some people I have blinkers on, they don't care because they don't want to. So I think just focus on what you're putting out, and the people that do care will listen and you will help them.
Yep.
Yeah, cheers Rick, my pleasure.
Hello Maggie.
Hello Maggie.
Cottoned on to the end of it, I'm afraid, my love.
You'll be able to watch this back on replay or just zoom back and watch the whole thing over and over again.
As if we're live.
And if you really enjoyed it, you can leave a like, comment below the video, potentially subscribe if you aren't already.
And see us on Friday for another one.
Yeah.
Do subscribe.
Excellent.
It's
Do subscribe.
fantastic.
The content that Jonathan puts out is really top tier, and for how much work goes into it and how little he asks from other people, it's definitely worth subscribing to at least.
From other people, for me, he asked for quite a lot from me. God, the list is endless.
I'm a bit like Jerome. I can sit here on a computer, like providing I'm well enough and have enough energy and I'm fed, I can sit on a computer for days straight to get something done.
Yeah. You get so focused, and I'm telling him, no, you have to take a rest now. And he's like, no, I've got to finish this. I'm like, well, I've got to go on the school run. Are you coming or are you going to do this? Well, I've got to finish this. Just leave him there and walk out.
I do try to do both.
Yes.
So the thing is, when I come back, I'm then like, it's hard to enjoy things when you feel guilty for leaving something that you feel like you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
I want to be doing everything all the time.
You're not a woman, you can't multitask.
It can be really hard to get back onto a train of thought too. Sometimes you're in such a flow state and things are moving that it's really easy to neglect your own short-term well-being.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Well, we've really gone off on a tangent on this ramblings, haven't we,
Yeah.
today? Gosh.
Yeah, it's been pleasant, guys. Thank you all for turning up to the live Q&A.
Thank you.
I've actually got Carnivore Coaches Corner tomorrow, which we have defined in our group private chat, which will be me, Mark Ennis, and Colt Milton. That'll be 1 hour long. Please tell me if it goes beyond 1 hour, then I'll try and cut off the stream as quickly as possible. Sometimes I go beyond on this sort of thing, and it's a bit ridiculous. And Harry Sopanos does the same thing. If you've ever watched his things, he's like, usually he does like I think a 3.5 hour one, and then a 4.5 hour one in that order. And he'll have about 4, 5, 6 hours gap between where he has lunch or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now what he'll do is in the second one, he'll be going on for about an hour extra from what he originally started from, and he won't get up for the whole time, and he'll just have a glass of milk the whole time.
Whereas like I'm just popping on to answer one quick question, and then 4 hours later, and you're still there.
He gets such good questions though,
I know he
really
does.
in-depth questions, which really, if someone went through all the questions he's answered, that would help like everyone.
Yeah.
You'd have every possible answer you'd ever need. It's insane. Like, I love watching his stuff.
There's a few people that I could listen to all day. Like Harry, I could listen to all day. Bart, I could listen to all day. And then you two,
Jerome
I could listen.
Armstrong.
Jerome, and then you,
no,
I can listen to.
You're just saying that, but thank you.
I think it's, I don't know, some people either waffle on and you're like, oh my God, get to the point.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the tone of their voice is just too much. Or if they're like really handsy and I'm like, I can't watch you, you're too distracting, I can't.
My brother complimented our last one when he was in the house. Jerome, I think it was at Monday or something last week. He's like, yeah, I think you didn't have that many people in it. I think we had like 15 to 20 people in it at any given time. And he's like, you had a few questions, but you went into good depth on each question, so you expanded upon it and you gave people proper answers they could actually gain something from. A lot of people won't do that. So when you watch actual other people's Q&As, not always, but oftentimes, they'll give a very generic kind of answer without any real detail. And it's like,
Yeah.
was there any point you doing this half an hour Q&A? Because
I could have Googled that.
I could have Googled that.
Yeah.
You know, the point is people like Jerome, myself, and Sophie, we're trying to refine down the information that we do know from experience and from what we've learned to people that don't have time to spend hours finding these things out.
Yeah.
And at least give them a good idea or put them on the right track so they can expedite their own results, become more efficient, and then make gains or health improvements because of it. That's literally that's why you guys are like members of my channel. That's why I get sent donations sometimes. That's why people buy my consultations. It all comes together to make people's lives better, and that's literally it. There's no tricks. There's no sort of, oh, by the way, I offer this $4,000 3-month program where I'll call you once a week for 20 minutes and write out the same program every week and get you to follow it. I'll take your money.
Yeah.
I'll give you a live group coaching call once a month for 20 minutes, half an hour. And I'll tell you it's great, and everyone will tell you it's great, and I'll fake all the testimonials on my website.
And this is the most expensive relationship I've ever been in.
It does happen, guys.
Yeah, it more than you would think. More
Yeah.
than you would think.
Just quickly do these last couple of comments.
Yeah.
You run in and out of the shop and the yard and do other things before facing the computer.
Rick's fortunately he's got lots of screens around the place so he can sort of see what's going on. He does a 99%. Sometimes I've caught him out where he's been on one of my friends' channels live programming at the same time. I've had my phone open like, oh, what's going on this person's? Oh, Rick's there.
Oh.
He's not on mine.
Split yourself up and be on 2 people's at once. Get another screen,
More screens.
another account.
Be like lambs, more screens.
So many screens.
What's this? I know that state of getting things done, to quote Sheldon Cooper.
I don't need sleep, I need
answers.
answers. Yes.
Yep.
I said something similar to that recently, and everyone laughed. I was like, I don't like problems, I like solutions.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, we all like that. I'm like, yeah, but who likes problems? I want to find out what the problem is.
I like solving the problem. Unless I really can't, and then I get really annoyed and go, do you know what? I'm not smart enough for this.
All right, we're going to pack it in, get now, guys, because I can tell Jerome's getting frustrated with me sitting up right for so long.
Not at all. No, I could do this all day. Unless somebody walks in. So,
That old chestnut, eh?
yeah.
Brilliant. Well, the thing is, we'll get lots of video and audio footage for this, so we
Yeah.
can string some answers together and maybe just make mini videos, mini clips. People don't have time to watch these hour-long videos, so they might have a specific question that's answered in this chat.
Yeah.
I'll be able to actually put it
it
in a little
out.
clip, which, by the way, does not take 10 minutes. Perhaps to get right, once uploaded, about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Basically 10 minutes. Yeah.
base 10 minutes, no time to.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you guys,
And
appreciate
thanks
you.
for Jerome for coming on as well.
Thank you for
Take
having
care.
me. Cheers.
Bye.